Alright, we are on Daf Nun Haman base, and we are at the the top of the page. Not Nun Haman base, sorry, we're getting Nun Haman base, Nun Beis Haman base. Nun Beis Haman base. 7 lines from the top. Machakos achas gedola. A person erases one large letter. This is a Bavli issue. A person erases one large letter. And there's enough room in the erased area to write two letters, small letters, chayiv. So you're liable. However, if you write one large letter, even though it takes up enough space to write two letters, potter, because the malach derises is to write two letters, or to erase enough area in order to write two letters. Need one of the two. Rabbi Nachum, Rabbi Yossi Omer, Zeh Chomer b'moicha b'kosef. It's there's a chumrah in erasing over writing, which obviously we just saw. That if you erase in order to prepare room for two letters, you're chayiv, and if you write in the area of two letters, you're potter. But besides that, we have here the Gillian Hashas changes the gear, so it should be Zvechomer b'kosei mi b'mochek. It should say the following words. V'chomer b'kosei b'mochek. There's a severity by writing over erasing. What's that severity? Sha'kosef amanas l'kalkel chayav. If somebody writes with the intention of ruining, he's chayav because it's still writing, right? In other words, if your writing ruins the paper upon which it's written, so what? It's still writing, right? Right? A lousy novel, right? So a story that Rogacher was once asked Givas to say. I don't think I've ever told over the story, at least not recently. The Rogacher was once asked Givas a sefer. So they brought him the sefer, and the Mechaber writes the sefer, brought him the sefer to show him, and the Rogacher goes through it page by page, and he says, "Wow, amazing, extraordinary, this is unbelievable," and so on and so forth through the entire book. And needless to say, the author is very, very pleased, and he's expecting a great haskama, right? So he asks, he gets up the nerve, he asks Roger Trevor, "What did you find so amazing?" So he said, "I knew that there was a process of taking rags and making them into paper, but I didn't know that there was a process to take paper and put it back to rags." So this is what. If you write and you ruin the paper by writing on it, you're still chayiv, right? Whereas hamochik amnas l'kalkel, if you erase and you ruin, that's potter, because the mochik has to be specifically to prepare the paper in order to make it suitable to write on it again. Okay? So, going down a line, yeshu kaisim nekuda achas, a person can write one letter, v'chayiv l'mishum kaisim, and it's one dot. Is chayil mishum kaisev, and he commits the prohibition of kasiva, of writing, umishum mochek, and erasing at the same time, and vice versa. Yishum mochin nekurachas, a person can erase one point, v'chayil mishum kaisev mishum mochek, and by erasing, be chay because of writing and because of erasing. How so? Hey chabir, how does it work? Hayad dalit, if it was dalit vaso reish, right? You made it into a reish, right? By erasing it, so by erasing the point, you're chayiv because of kosev and because of mochek, right? You have to do two letters, obviously, but the point is, each one is a dal and a resh, okay? Resh v'sol dal, if it was a resh, you made a dal, chayiv mishum kaisim mishum mochek. In both these cases, you're chayiv both because of writing and of erasing. Period. New question. My binyan hoya by Mishkan. What was the binyan in the Mishkan? That you're chayiv on boneh. There's a malacha boneh. So it says the Gemara, "Shall you know nostim kroshim agabi adonim?" They used to put the beams on top of the bases, the sockets on the bottom of the beams. You picture your mind's eyes the way the Mishkan looked. So they used to put the sockets on the bottom of the beams, the sockets on the bottom, beams on top of the socket. That's building. So it says the Gemara, wait a minute. The Lola Shoysa wasn't temporary because they were constantly on the move. And binyan, so in that case, you should be in chayiv, even somebody who's boneh something, temporarily, not permanently. So it says the Gemara, since their camping and traveling was all based on Hashem say so every time it was like it was eternal. Okay? It was permanent. We had this yesterday. Wait a minute. Since Hashem promised to bring them into the land of Israel, so it's as if it's temporary. So we should say, based on this whole the exchange, that binyan l'shah binyan, that if you build something for a temporary structure, like a sukkah or something like that, it's going to be bonus. And even if it's not proper building, why it's not proper building? Because it was like Lego. They would put the beams into sockets. That's not building. Minatzad means not in the normal fashion. We should teach us. I feel right? You're building on top of something else. You're not building on the ground. You're building on a socket which is on the ground. And Adamra teaches binyan gabe kalim binyan. That building on top of the on top of other kalim is building, even though you're not building it fixed to the ground in any way, shape, or form. So at least on the last thing, the Gemara says, Adonim kikarka. No, the Adonim were like the ground. Okay? Why was that? I don't know. And the truth is, this sugya does not appear in the Bavli. The Bavli never asked where Bona was in the Mishkan. But if you think about it, it's a major problem. How do we know that there was ever a Bona in the Mishkan, which is nothing, anything more than temporary? I don't have an answer. Yerushalmi doesn't have a satisfactory answer. Yerushalmi challenges that perhaps even temporary building is a good building, and certainly we see that the Iker building in the Mishkan was not something which got which was real binyan b'karka, right? It was binyan b'kalim almost, right? You were building with logs, like Lincoln logs. You weren't building structures affixed to the ground. Okay, the Yerushalmi never resolves it.
So, we do evolve kids building with Legos and
no, but only midrabanan. We do allow kids. The grown-ups are not allowed to, but it's only midrabanan, not midraisa. It's not permanent. Yeah, kids are a lot of fun. That's right. Okay, says Gemara, Tani. Going further with the concept of building, if one person brought the stone and the other person brought the pitch for building a layer of brick, chayav, then I skipped. Maybe it's atid chayav. The person brings the pitch, the cement, he's chayav because he makes it permanent. Rabbi Yis Amar Shneinchem, they're both chayav for placing the stone and placing the pitch. So Rabbi Yosa, no, because it's two separate components. Putting the brick, no. Rabbi Yosa, you don't. Rabbi Yosa is that putting the stone itself is a complete malacha. That's his chiddush. Okay. So who's got a cell phone? I just got a page. Can I borrow a second? Says more further. So Hakol Moedim, everybody agrees. Shim Nosen Atit Chila. If you put down the pitch and Achar Kach Nosen Evan, and then you put the stone on top of the pitch, Shu Chayev. Obviously, you're Chayev, even according to Rabbanan in that case, right? Rabbi Yosef's chiddush was that even if you put down the stone without pitch, you're Chayev. But certainly, if you put the stone on top of the pitch, right? Now, this a builder who put a stone, Barosh Adimus, at the top of a layer of bricks, Chayev. He's Chayev. Now, that's obviously true of Rabbi Yosef. Luminitz going like it's even going according to Rabbi Rabbanan. So somehow or another, I guess the last brick doesn't have to be cemented in as well. So therefore, even according to Rabbanan, you're Chayev on it. So I ain't the Avid Dapin, somebody who makes, now according to the Korban Eidah, this means the threshold. You put the wooden pieces on the Dapin, or the mezuzos, and the Eidah of it Safyon, the threshold or the lid to Chai Mishum Bona. According to the Pnei Moshe, somebody building a boat, and he built masts, and he built a Safyon like Sfinon. Like boats, and you're chayav for building a boat, which is very strange because it's totally out of left field. We weren't talking about boats before, but that's how he learns it. Okay. Va'asoser. Somebody destroys his chayav. Uvad l'tzorech.
When you're building each brick, you're chayav achatos and says b'shoket. You're chayav for each brick that you.
According to Rabbi Yosef, for sure, yeah. Each brick, right. It's my Rabbi Shuren though. If you do b'helei machas, so you only bring one, right? It'll be separate helemos. Okay. as long as it's necessary to break something down for some positive purpose. Rav Chanan Baruch Shem Rabbi Shimon Lodi said, "Goydel Kli Tzura." Now here also is one of these machlokas between the Korbanei and Pnei Moshe, where each one is like a different pole. Korbanei says it means Goydel Kli Tzura means he learns Godel means to weave, and Tzura he learns means palm leaves, because it's Tzurei Dekel or palm leaves. So here he said it means that, like we said in Amud Aleph, if you weave the palms into a vessel. Remember we said in Amud Aleph Yechai because of Orig, but when you turn the corner and start building up Yechai because of Boneh. So that's how he learns it here. The Pnei Moshe says much more poshut. Pnei Moshe says you make a decoration on top of the vessel in order to extend it higher. Okay? But the bottom line is, regardless of what we learn, we have to realize that the Yerushalmi is emphasizing here how there's binyan b'kelim. And the truth is, according to Yerushalmi, there really has to be binyan b'kelim, because Yerushalmi made the point before that by the Mishkan the whole binyan was b'kelim. Again, the Bavli has a whole machlokas throughout Masechta Shabbos where the H binyan b'kelim or ain't binyan b'kelim. But if you think about the source, there's got to be binyan b'kelim, because that's all they did in the Mishkan. Okay? That's what the Yerushalmi is stressing here. Rabbi Ila b'shem Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish said, "Hanofech kli zchuchis," somebody who blows glass on Shabbos, chai mishum bona. It's chai because of bona, right? You're building it. Rabbanan the Kesarim b'shem Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish said, "Yesh dvorim kloivim urechokim." Now this is only part of the statement. The bottom in the Shunis Chos it says the things which are krovim urechokim yesh dvorim urechokim ukrovim. In other words, there are things which are distant, but they're all the same malacha. There are things that are similar, but they're different malachas. What's an example? For instance, Hagoyda Kli Tzura, somebody who makes these baskets. Ananopeh Kli Tzura, somebody who blows glass. And Osa Kli B'tfus, somebody who makes a vessel in a mold. They're all different, very different. But Kula Mishum Bona, you're Mechayiv all them because of Bona. On the other hand, a Borer, somebody does Borer on Shabbos. The next one, Mishamer, is a mistake. The Korban Ada takes it out. If I'm a rocket, it's somebody who sifts. Borer and sifting, they're really the same thing. In both cases, you're taking out the refuse. So they're both distinct malachos. Each one is a separate one, 39 malachos. So sometimes acts are similar, yet they fall into different categories. Sometimes acts are dissimilar, but they fall into the same category. Okay? Why is Hoshata not mentioned as being one of the 39 amalachos? Hoshata means if I extend something from Rishus HaYachid through Rishus HaRabim into another Rishus HaYachid. Why is that mentioned as being one of the malachos? It's only malach according to Rabbi Akiva, because Rabbi Akiva holds... Oh, this is a tough one. Very good! Check it out. Baki and Shas, Bavli and Yerushalmi. Rabbi Akiva holds Kluta K'mishun Chadamya. When it passes over the Rishus HaRabim, it's as if it's in the Rishus HaRabim. So if I extend something from a private domain over a public domain into a private domain, chayiv a malacha of hoshata, right? That's called hoshata. It's a new type of malacha. So why is it not mentioned? Let it be number 40. Excellent, Dr. Spudel. So it says, well, I'll tell you why. Rabbi Shimon says, because not everybody agrees. Rabbi Akiva holds kluta k'mishun chadamya. Chachamim hold it's not. So therefore, Chachamim don't count as being a separate malacha. Rabbi Chizkiah, Rabbi Yehuda ben Levi, Rabbi Shua ben Levi, B'Shem Rabbi said, Yes, Alein Oshata, Taka, add it on. It's a 40th malacha. So if that's the case, why Taka isn't mentioned in our Mishnah? So it says a very interesting answer. All malachas go through from one rishus to another rishus. V'zubashtayin, this has to go through two rishuyos. It's a funny thing. That's what he says. What can I say? It says it has to go through two rishuyos, so therefore it's two different. Or I like this one better. All the other malachos have tolados. We might not know what the tolados are, but they all have tolados. Hoshata has no tolada, because anything made Hoshata of tolada of Hoshata, a derivation of Hoshata would really be Hotzah. So therefore, Hoshata has no tolados, and that's why it's not accounted in our Mishnah, because it's not separated. It's not the same to like the other malachos in the Mishnah. They said another principle. Anything which is suitable to safeguard or preserve, people do safeguard or preserve something like it. If somebody takes it out, even though he himself had no intent, concerning it, since it's universally accepted as being something worth saving and preserving. Chayav chatas. You're chayav chatas alav for taking it out. Choshe eno kosher latzniya, anything which is not normally safeguarded. Some people don't normally safeguard it. V'otiu b'Shabbos, and you take it on Shabbos. Eno chayav ela hamatzniya. The only person who's actually will actually save that is chayav. For example, a good example would be the case you have a piece of paper in your pocket, which really has no chashivas. Well, the case, if you have somebody for whom this paper has some significance, let's say it's a use stamp, right? Use stamp has no significance. True is nowadays, I don't know, because it's a collector's item. That was the point I was about to make. But let's say, hypothetically speaking, let's take something else. Let's take
a piece of paper with a
telephone number on it?
A
telephone number, right. Very good. So Shivas is somebody who wants to save the phone number for your partner for taking out, but since he's taken it out, it's chayav. Very good. Okay, Rab. Now the Gemara gives other examples. It says la'akum yisamres. It's talking about avodah zarah. For example, avodah zarah, you don't save it, but some people might want to save avodah zarah in order to fulfill the mitzvah of destroying it or burning it, right? So for them, it's chashiv, right? Rabbi Yochanan Yisurei Hanoah, it's talking about Yisurei Hanoah, right? Same idea. Same with Yosef Bar Noah. They want to keep from the mitzvah of burning it. Rav Chisda Mali Shiur Samres. It's a generic statement. It means that you need to have a shiur in order to be chayiv. It's not talking about any specific substance. When the Mishnah says that anything which is kosher, ain't lo kosher latzniya, is ain't no chayiv ela matzniya. The norm is not safeguard. Only person safeguard it's chayiv. Mishnah didn't have anything specific in mind. It's just telling us that normally you need a shiur of hotzah. Okay. So each tani. There's some who learn Torah Mishnah koshu. They chayiv on koshu. I'm skipped. It's tiny chayav chatos. So you're chayav chatos. Okay? Now, chayav chatos means in the ratio chayav chatos. That's what it says. Chayav chatos olav, right? They're on in the Sefer of the Mishnah, however, it says eno chayav, right? So that he's learning that's a raya misayel rav chisda it's tiny koshu. There's another Tana which says that chayav chatos big koshu. Okay? They're chayav chatos on a koshu, right? Now, what's the difference? So manda mar chayav chatos misayel rav chisda. He who says just plain chayav chatos, so he holds like Rav Chisda that you need to have a shiur. You can't say a chayav on koshu. Manda mar koshu. He who says you're chayav chatos on a koshu. So Masayel Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Yechon, so right for Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Yechon, that it's possible to cover that our Mishnah is addressing somehow or another those objects in which a kosher is also chayiv. What's an object in which a kosher will also be chayiv? Avodah zarah and Yisurei Hanoah. So what I said before is actually wrong. Now I realize I made a mistake. The machlokas between Rabbi Yechon and Rav Chuna and the Chuna on the one hand, and Rabbi Chisda on the other hand, is in the ratio of our Mishnah. When the Mishnah says kosher latzniu matzniin kamo v'otziu b'Shabbos chayav chatas olav, so is that talking about a regular shiur? In other words, whatever the regular shiur is, or it's talking even about avodah zarah and Yisurei Hanoah? So it depends. If you say it's just chayav chatas olav, so it's talking about anything, a regular thing, then you need a regular shiur for it. If it says chayav chatas olav b'koshu, then that indicates that the ratio of our Mishnah is talking about avodah zarah and Yisurei Hanoah, where you be chayav on a kosher. Why? Because even a person who has a kosher of avodah zarah and Yisurei Hanoah would want to save it specifically for the purpose of burning it. Okay. Manda mar kosher misayel Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yitzchak b'shem Rabbi Yisrael China said kigon hamochshit kilon nidasa. This is when it says eno kosher latzniya. What is eno kosher latzniya referring to? So that's talking about something like a cotton tampon, which people don't normally keep. I guess it's a used one. So no matter how large it is, people don't normally keep it, or they don't want to keep it. So therefore, that's something which you're not going to be chayiv on for on Shabbos. Okay, Amotzi Tevin. Somebody takes out hay. The shiur of hay is kamole pi para, the amount which takes to fill the mouth of a cow, because cows eat hay. Eitzah, it's tougher stuff. It's like twigs, actually. Kamole pi gamo. It's whatever camels will eat, because camels eat that stuff. Amir, which is some type of also some type of hay or straw. Kimoli pitlet, what a young goat will eat. What a goat will eat. Asavim, grass. Kimoli pikdi, like what a young goat will eat. Alishum valib tzolim, if you have leaves of onion or leaves of garlic and leaves of onion, lachim, if they're moist, kigrogeres, the shears kigrogeres, because they're still foodstuffs. Vivashim, if they're dry, then they're like spices or herbs, kimole pigdi. So the shear becomes the amount of stuff which you need in order to feed a goat, which is larger. They do not join together. Because they're not 100% equal in their shiur, they're slightly different in what's required. Somebody takes out any food the size of grogeres, which is between a kazayis and a kibetza, chayev. You're chayev for doing so. And all types of food joined together, because they're similar in their shiurim of grogeres. Chutz, except mikli paying from their shells, garnaim and their seeds, v'uktsein and their branches, v'suban and their coarse grain, umursan on another type of coarse grain. Rabbi Yehuda says anything except for the husks of barley, not of barley, of lentils, which are cooked with them, are all mitzdaref to make up the shiur of a grogeres. Okay? Rabbi Yonah, Rabbi Yossi Galila, B'Shem Rabbi Yossi ben Chanina said, Chamor, mashlin l'kau. The more severe shiur can help comprise the less severe shiur. And a cow mashlin l'chamor. However, the less severe shiur cannot help comprise the more severe shiur. How so? Asavim mashlin l'tevet. Asavim, which you need less grass to be chayav on because a goat eats less, they are mitzdarif, they join together with the teven, meaning the more dense stuff, in order to make up the shiur of a para. Yeah. Chamur mashlin l'kal. The more stringent helps be mashlim, the less stringent, the more lenient. Not vice versa. If you have one of the less lenient commodities, they do not make up the shiur of the more lenient commodities. Says the Gemara, "Asavim mashlim l'teven." What? I'm sorry. Asavim mashlim l'teven. Ein teven mashlim l'asavim. It only works one way, not the other. Tamati, we learned over there. Ha-beged, ha-sak. The garments and sacks joined together in terms of itztarfus l'tumah. Hasak va'or, sacks and leather joins together. Hor va'amapot, leather and a mat. Mapot means made out of some sort of other fiber. Mitzdarfus said they all join together. What are they joined together for? Tumah, right? Tumah medras. You said Zav sits on it or steps on it actually. Rabbi Shimon is so Mishra and Rabbi Shimon are wise. Moshe. Was the Zav considered all something which is made of all of them together? So therefore they all join together. Rabbi Yirmiyah said, I understand they join together vis-a-vis Tumah Tara, Sheked Shavel Shiur, Shavel Moshe B'Tefach. Because they're the equivalent in some place, and that the shiur of all of them for a moshav is a tefach, even though for other things the shiur is larger. For a moshav, the shiur of all of them is a tefach. That's for the cloth itself. But if it's made designated to be a seat, that has to be a cloth for weaving, but it's cloth for sitting, so it's one tefach. Okay. However, the next word is a typo. It should be according to Lieberman. The Shabbos, according to Korban Eda, Hacha, same thing, because Hacha here means Shabbos. So Hacha minayin. By the way, today on NPR, they interviewed a guy who's a professor of Aramaic at Northeastern here. Is that a guy? A Christian? No, it was Syriac from southern Turkey. So they asked him, Say something in Aramaic for us, At the end of the interview. He said that a whole bunch of people still speak Aramaic. So he said in perfect Aramaic, it's not such a genius, but it's interesting, it's just interesting. Shalom Aleichem, which is really Aramaic for Shalom Aleichem. The interviewer, what's his name, Robert Siegel, right? He knew Shalom Aleichem. He knew it was Shalom Aleichem. He's that Jewish he is. But it was interesting that the Taka said it the way the Aramaic is pronounced, in the proper Aramaic, Shalom Aleichem. Okay. So it says more further. I was waiting maybe to start teaching Yerushalmi over the radio, but it didn't happen. But the announcer, Robert Siegel, did say that the Talmud is written in Aramaic. All right. Says more. So again, Hachor b'Shabbos minayin. Amrei b'Zira kumi raimona. Shekin shava basic. Yeah, they join together here because here, if you burn, they also join together. Amrei, they said, what are you saying? Ana boyot. So I asked you whether they joined together for a shiur for taking them out on Shabbos. You told me that they joined together for a shiur for making a fire. I'm not asking you about a fire. I'm asking you about Otzah. So he said back, Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yossi, you don't, the Kum Rabbi Yossi's friends say you don't understand. Shekain Shovu Besik, it means if you're taking them out to make a bonfire, then they're mitzdaref with each other. And therefore, they're mitzdaref with each other, they join together in any activity of Otzah. That's what he meant to say. Okay? What's the shiur? Amar Lezer, he said, Nisnei, if that's the case, we should say, B'kehotzas. Now, nobody knows what the next two words mean. I mean, they know what they mean, but they have no idea what it means.
Pony.
What?
It says kata.
No, it says kos.
Oh, it's
Kos kata. So the various different things. The biur, the Reb Chaim Kanievsky says, beitza kala, a light egg, because that's the shiur. The shiur of cooking on Shabbos is the amount it takes to cook a light egg. Egg which is easy to cook, like a chicken egg. So that's what it means to say, if they're joined together in order to comprise the shiur of Otzah for cooking a beitza kala. What happened was there was a beis kuf there, a beis kuf, and somebody misread it as a kuf kuf, and then he made it kos cotton where it's supposed to be beitza kala.
I misread it as a sama.
Right. But I like your shots. This cotton's good.
I thought that was coming.
What? A lot of people do that. Lieberman Taka says, I don't know what this means. Yes, but Lieberman does that, and the Mashbiach does that a lot. They both use that tool of saying the Rosh Tevis, which would.
So Taka maybe it was a sama.
Yeah, but just it's not in context then. It's cute, but it's not in context because it's talking about Hesek for burning, so basically makes sense. Chanina said, the way what's his name, Libra, the biur learns this from Chaim Kanievsky says that it's really a kasha. Nisnei kotzos beitza kala. Why doesn't it mention that the shiur of Otzah is the amount which it takes to cook a light egg, right? So and nothing else. So our Rabbi China said kupta mashlim lepisasa. The way the way Chaim Kanievsky explains this is an answer. Meat joins up to make a shiur of bread. In other words, let's say you have a sandwich, and in order to make up a gazai, you need to take the bread into the count. So since the bread is tafel, you need to take the meat into account. So since the meat is tafel to the bread, so therefore you take the meat into account to make up a gazai. I don't know if he passed in that way, Allah Lamaisa, that's what Rabbi Chanin was saying. Kufta, the bread, kupta, the meat, mashlim lepisa, pista, it makes up the shiur of the bread. Pista lo mashlemis lekupta, the bread does not help make up the shiur of the meat. So to here they join together that which is more significant. Okay? Asavi mashlim tevan, the grass makes up the shiur of the hay. Veinatem mashlim asavim, and not vice versa. The hay does not make up the shiur of the grass. Time Rabbi Yeshua Torres. Hoti tevin lepacha. If you take out hay for a cow, kimlopi partner shiur is the amount the cow eats. Hoti tevin ligdi. What if you took out hay for a goat, which obviously doesn't eat? No, it doesn't eat hay at all. What does he eat normally? Grass. Right. So what if you took hay for a goat? So says the Gemara, chayiv. Because in a pinch, the goat will eat it. Rabbi Ila Mar Yochanan boy. Rabbi Ila said, Rabbi Yochanan has the question. Not that that's the case. Hotzi ochlin lechole. If you're taking out sick food for a sick man, kim lo pi chole chayiv. So it should be chayiv also, relatively speaking, which means whatever chole eats, even that's very minute. If that's what he eats, that's what he eats, and that should be mechayiv you.
He's not a chol sheish b'sakon.
Oh, you mean you're carrying for him? No, why would you say it?
You're carrying food out in Shusha Rabbit for a
You forgot that it showed that there was no Eruv, though.
But he needs the food.
He's a chol hashem b'sakon.
That's what I asked.
Yeah. Chol hashem b'sakon, yeah. Okay?
Well, the Gemara doesn't differentiate. You assume at least that we know that.
Right, it would have to be. So in any event, everything should be relative to that extent. The Yerushalmi doesn't answer that question. Modu Rabbi Yosha, even Rabbi Yosha could see that waiver. Sheim Otzi, there is a messed up here. So according to the beer, it should be Sheim Otzi Asavim, not Tevin. If you took out grass, with para, for a cow, which normally doesn't eat grass. Kemole Pigdi, and you took out the grass, the amount which a goat normally eats, which is less than normally eats. Nonetheless, Shahu. Here there must be a change. The Bib Yusha, the Chaim Kanevsky changed again. Shu Chayev. They're Chayev in that case. If you took up enough grass for a goat and gave it to a cow, you're Chayev.
And I would think that Beit Girsa is correct because your intention was for the Gedi. The intention was for the Parah.
I thought so too, but the truth is, if you read the Girsa a second time, the way it certainly makes no sense. Look, I'll show you. Which is the amount normally for a cow, right? For a commodity for a cow, Kimoli Pigdi, which is not enough for a Gdi, not enough for a cow, because Moli Pigdi, Shubata, you're exempt. That's Pashut. The Mishnah said it. What does it mean by the Rabbi Yosha? Obviously, the Mishnah said it. So we need a Chiddush over the Mishnah. What's the Chiddush over the Mishnah? Chiddush over the Mishnah is that if you took out enough grass for a goat, even if you're giving it to a cow, it's objective. It's an absolute. You're chayav for taking out the shiur of grass, no matter who they end up giving it to. That's what it means, okay? The lo tizbar don't they commodity Yisrael chumrah, just like it was machmir, and said if you take out for a goat hay for its size, that's sufficient. It could be mechayiv you chatas. So to Yisrael the kula, he holds the kula. You have to take off enough grass for the cow. You don't say that. Rather, as long as he took off enough grass objectively, that raised mechayev him. Reibun Barachia. Boy, he asked like this. There's a question really in our Mishnah. Now this, I looked, Lieberman brings down here with Meir Simcha, Or Samech, a beautiful, beautiful pshat. Or Samech says, let's go back in our Mishnah. The Mishnah said that if you take out onion or garlic leaves, the shiur is a grogeris. Now says the Meir Simcha, the thing is, onion or garlic leaves are a spice. If they're a spice, then there's what's the shiur of any spice? No, enough to spice. Enough to spice a what? Enough to spice a small egg. Now the Yerushalmi says that Meir Simcha takes a step further. The Yerushalmi holds it's enough to spice a grogeris, which is actually a little bit smaller than an egg. So how can you only be chayev on taking out onion and garlic leaves for a grogeris? That means you need a full grogeris of onion and garlic leaves to spice a grogeris itself. That makes no sense. That's how you should learn to Yerushalmi. Reibun Achia asked, boy, I got she'ein b'tavshil grogeris. Now the Meir Simcha adds the word she'ein b'tavshil ela grogeris. The whole dish is only grogeris. Ukrogeris, it should be metabel. as tavlin. Ugrogeres metabel ki grogeres. Eat a full grogeres to spice another grogeres. It makes no sense. And of course, the Gemara doesn't answer. The Gemara goes on to say, Zir b'chinu Hashem Rechinil said, Hadadat Amar Badumos. When do we say that the husk of a lentil joins to the lentil to make a shiur? When it's red. But if it's a black kernel or black husk, partial say, then you're going to remove the shell of the shell of the lentil, because it looks, says the thing, carbonator, like a bug, because it's a black husk. So therefore, since it's black, you're going to remove it. So therefore, it's not mitzvah to make up the shiur of grogeres when you're cooking your lentils. What's so funny?
I saw the carbonator before you said it, and it kind of cracked me up.
Zubi, yeah, it looks like flies. Okay, so that's why they're not mitzvah. The only red husks are mitzvah, not black husks.
All together now.
That was a toughie. That was a truly tough. How long was it? Oh boy. I mean, that really separates the men from the boys. That was 13 blot. Wow. Okay. In the Yerushalmi, that's like almost a significant percentage. So it's like almost 1% of the Bavli, almost 1% of the entire Shas, because there are 51 months, and 13 blot is almost half a month, right? So it's almost 1%. Okay. So 1% of Yerushalmi at least is very difficult. If you take out wine, the shiur of wine is the amount in order to dilute a cup. How much is diluted in a cup? What's the shiur of dilution? 1/4. So this is 1/4 of a revius, right? The amount of wine you're chayav on for taking out on Shabbos is 1/4 of a revius. Okay? Gemara is going to discuss it. Chalav, milk, kadei give me the amount you swallow in one shot. Dvash, honey, kadei taste al kosis to put on the wound on the back of a donkey. Shemen, oil, kadei losu chaver kotzing in order to anoint a small limb. Mayim, water, kadei losu v'zakilurit in order to mix the eye ointment. The shakol, mashkin, any other beverage. Revius in a full revius, which according to Chaim Noah is 3.3 ounces, if I recall correctly. Any sewage water, which you're saving. Why are you saving? In order to mix your cement. Revius here is also revius. Rabbi Shimon Kulam revius. Everything was revius. Well, wine, milk, honey. Lomru shiur kol shiur malo, any other shiur mentioned. Mishnah says El Matzin is only for people who actually saved that shiur, which is obviously aberrant, not the majority of the people.
This Mishnah sounds like it belongs in the last parak.
Mm-hmm. But in the Bible, it also sounds like it belongs in the last parak. Yeah, that's a problem to this parak.
It's the same pattern.
Same pattern, right? Rabbi Zir Shol Rabbi Yeshua. Those are pretty boring parak in the Bavli, but in the Yerushalmi it's much more exciting. Rabbi Zir, you will see. Rabbi Zir Shol Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Zir asked Rabbi Shir Yeshua, at least tonight's plan. Kam Shir Shekosos, what's the shiur of a cup? Okay? Now that means in our Mishnah, the shiur of a cup. Says K'dei Mezigas HaKos. So Amalei said, let's learn that which is not clear, explicit from that which is explicit. Tanya Rebbe Chia said, the 4 cups of wine. When do we drink 4 cups of wine? Very good. Yeshlan revius yain b'Italki. Therefore, they're revius of wine in Italy. The measure, it's the type of wine we're dealing with. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's different here. This is Italian wine. I don't know. It's an Italian wine. Asti. It's good stuff. Okay. Talented, let's over there. Mifanin arba v'chamesh kupos. One can remember. Now this is interesting. Kabbalah never bothers asking this question. It says you can remove on Shabbos a tear. You can be matriach and remove from warehouse in order to make room 4 or 5 buckets. Rabbi Zir Shol Rabbi Yesha. Kamishur Shol Kupa. Lamaisa. What's the shiur of a kupa that you can remove? What's the shiur of a bucket? They said again, let's learn that which is not explicit and that which is explicit. What's that? The Tnei Tamon we learned over there by the Beis Hamikdash when they used to do Trumas Halishka to take money from the office where all the nedavos, all the gifts were stored. They used to take it out in buckets. So what size are the buckets? They had Tamon b'sholosh kupos in 3 buckets. So sholosh saint, even to which can hold 3 saw. Termes halishka. With that you do Trumas Halishka. So to here it must be that each bucket is 3 saw. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Bunz b'Shem Re'elchan said, "De Rabbi Yehuda." Now here the gears is a little bit messed up in this Gemara. It says that which it says the Ridbaz here is kind of helpful. He says that that which it says that which it says in our Mishnah, the shiur is kedei mezigas hakos, the amount which is required in order to dilute a cup, which means a quarter of a revius by wine. That's like Rabbi Yehuda. How do I know it's Rabbi Yehuda? Because the Tani we learned mayin kedei gemia. Water, we says, of course, Tanakama says the shiur you swallow. Rabbi Yehuda Omer kedei mezigas hakos. Rabbi Yehuda says the amount used in order to dilute your cup. So our Mishnah must be going like Rabbi Yehuda. Mazuk bikama. Now once you did dilute your wine, what's the shiur of how much you have to take out in order to be chayav on Shabbos for Otzah? It's here from this. Mayin kedei gemia. Water, the amount you swallow. Rabbi Omer kedei mezigas hakos. It says the amount it takes to mix your cup with water. Yain kedei gemia. Here the Ridbaz changes it. Second. He just takes out a line, I think. The Shmei Adam again. Mayin kedei gemia. Rabbi Omer kedei mezigas hakos. Yain kedei gemia. Rabbi Omer kedei mezigas hakos. It has to be just be taken out. Just take out that second line, okay? Because it's exact repeat of the previous line, right? Yeah. Okay. Hadamra. This teaches us that the mazug, once it's diluted, so the next line the Ridbaz changes it's kedei mezigas hakos. I must be making a mistake. I don't know what to do with the girsa, and I'm too lazy to figure it out right now. But the bottom line is that we see from here that the amount that it once it's diluted, the shiur is kedei mezigas hakos, which means it has to be a revius. I'm not sure how we figured it out. Somehow or another, we'll trust the Ridbaz on that. Let's go further. Kamishur and shakosis. What's the shiur of a cup? For once it's diluted. Rabbi Avin Amar titron urevia. Now here Lieberman points out it should be titron shehu revia. Titron is a quarter, I guess. Tetra's 4. So titron is revius. So titron is a revius. That's what it means to say. Titron hu revius. Ma'u lishtoisa mikb'krach. Now here's an amazing Gemara. Can you drink all 4 cups of wine Pesach night in one shot? What would you say?
You make 4 different brachos.
Wrong. Says the Yerushalmi, Marshals mikrach achot, can drink it all once. Min madam Rabbi Yechanan, since Rabbi Yechanan said, Bahalel, in Shom Beis HaKnesses Yotzer, Yotzer, if you hear Hallel on Shul Pesach night, oh, it's a clear-cut riot, it's obvious, right? Adam Rafilu Shatim mikrach echad, even you drink it at one shot Yotzer. So what do you think the raya is?
It's got to be sensory. So since like Shmiya's Ka'ona, it's as if the other sense of that hearing somebody's drinking is like hearing somebody say the separate brachos satisfies the.
So the carbonate explains, normally hollow comes between the kosos.
Yeah.
So you take hollow away, kosos are together, right? So that means you don't have to make a hefsek between the kosos.
You have a meal between the kosos also.
Right.
Not between the third and fourth, all you have is hollow. So you see you can combine the third and fourth, right? Right? Because you can say hollow earlier in shul, right? Combine the third and fourth, you must be able to combine all of them. There's no qualitative difference. Combine one of them, you combine them all. Right? It's not bad, right? You still don't get it?
I get it. I just it's a stretch.
You're flabbergasted.
Well, not flabbergasted. It's just it's not compelling.
Okay? Just wait. Says the Yerushalmi further. Can you drink them in several gulps? That means each cup, right? Because obviously you can drink them with gaps between the cups, right? We just asked whether you can drink them all at once. Means in each cup, do you have to go bottoms up, or can you drink it in gulps? Okay? Says Yerushalmi, do you think all they said is that you should drink? Lo! She stuck here! You know that? You have to get, yeah. You have to get drunk Pesach night. Okay? So, as I state, you have to get drunk Pesach night. Chai v'nish l'bsumei b'pischa. So, alright, there's a problem with the girsa here. And the Lieberman changed the girsa, everybody changed the girsa. In the bottom it says the Ritbaz changed the girsa. But the bottom line is everybody agrees that it means you gotta get drunk. Okay? So since you gotta get drunk, so that means bottoms up. You gotta drink in one shot. From here you have the source that's supposed to drink the whole cup at once when you drink the Arba Kosos. Okay, I don't know if it's only from here, but that's okay. If you drink it in several cups, you don't get drunk, and that's bad. Okay? Maula says.
Well, the question is.
Still not compelled?
No. The question is one gulp versus. You're talking about pausing. The question is in each cup. Does it have to go in one gulp?
Right, that's what he's saying. You do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can't pause within the cups. Right.
Forget about the pausing would mean taking the cup and putting it away.
You can't go.
No.
You have to go.
The question is, but that's in between. You can still have a cup to your mouth and still drink.
Yeah.
Not drinking in more than one gulp.
Right. I guess you can make a small hefsek. It says in the Gemara, famous Gemara themselves, Derech Eretz, so it's not Derech Eretz to drink a whole cup down in one shot. So you make a small interruption. But bottom line is you can't leave half the cup on the table. Okay? But here's the right, you can't drink true grape juice also, Pesach night. Why? Because gotta get drunk.
But there's no little letter here, so.
Yeah, okay. But we'll learn Yerushalmi, you have to be machmir on these things, right? Let's say it's beyond Shvius. Can it be Yitzhak? Now, the Lieberman here brings down Rameir Simcha again. And beautiful Rameir, another beautiful Rameir Simcha. And nobody understands what the kash is exactly. Why should you not allow to use Shemitah wine for Arba Kosos? So Rameir Simcha says the question is Kiddush. And the halach is for Kiddush, you have to use wine which is kosher to use for Nesachim, to libate on the Mizbeach. And you can't use Shemitah wine on the Mizbeach, because it's not eating it, right? And we know that Shemitah, l'achla, that's b'daf could be eaten. So Shaila, since you can't use Shemitah wine for libations, can you use it for Kiddush? Okay?
But the Mizbeach is...
What?
The Mizbeach is a form of...
No, we don't pass them the way. I mean, it's a machlokas, but he says that there's it's an opinion which says that that's not called mechila. So, Tana Rav Yosha said, Yotzim behind Shvius. We are Yotzim with Shvius wine, and the reason, so Rameir Simcha explains, because it's not concerned in the wine, you can't put it in the Sachim. The wine you can't use for Nesachim, which is possible for Kiddush, is where it's a bad wine, it's inferior wine. But if it's a superior wine, it's just that there's some an extrinsic reason why you can't use it for kiddush, for nesachim. So then you can't use it for kiddush. Say, white wine, right? So you only use red wine for nesachim. It's only not because of the inferiority in the wine, but because of a special din. So that would be okay to use for kiddush. Okay. The same thing, can use wine which has been spiced up, like sangria, where they steep fruit in it, right? So you can't use it for nesachim, right? But Mimad Tani Bar Kapar said kunditon kiyait, spiced wine is like wine. Although Amaras teaches us kunditon, you can use it for kiddush and it's for abrikos as well. Ma'ala taste mezugin. Are yaitze if you diluted the wine much more than usual? Okay, more than 1-4. Are you still yaitze with the wine for kiddush? So it says Gemara Mimad Tani Rabbi Chia Arba kaises she'amru. Is the 4 cups that they said yaitzim you yaitz with them bein chayim bein mezugin, whether they are raw, in other words undiluted, bein mezugin or diluted, husheh beim tam kamar yain, as long as it has the taste and the look of wine. So the bottom line is even if the proportion is more than 1-3, more than 1/4, you still can be yaitz as long as it has the taste and look of wine. Okay. The Ma'isa Ashkenazim we pass, can you get up to? Half that. Yeah, 6. Up to 6. Up to 6 is wine. I told you story several times already. I once went there many years ago. Even I'm getting old. Around almost 20 years ago, I once went to hear Rav Avadia Yosef Shabbos Agadol Drasha. And he said that once a worker came to him who worked for one of the wineries under the Badats. Later, this winery was prosecuted by the Israeli government for fraud. So he said, I feel terrible because they dilute the wine with water and sugar, and it's a shiur of 1/6, and they don't tell them. And for Sfardim, you're not allowed to dilute it up to 1/6. It has to be half wine, maybe 1/4 wine, but certainly not 1/6. So Rav Avadia said, okay, so go tell them the mashgiach. The mashgiach was the head of the Badats. Right, Reb David Jungreis at the time. So I went and told Reb David Jungreis. Reb David Jungreis said, you didn't look at the hechsher. The hechsher of the Badat says, based in tzedek l'chol mikalos ha'ashkenazim. I only give hechsherim for Ashkenazim, not for Sfardim. You got a problem. It's not my problem. Okay. Says no more further. Rabbi Yirmiyah said, mitzvah l'tzeis b'yayin odom. By the way, the stuff you buy in the store, you can buy this kind of stuff in America too. Just truth in labeling. If you buy some of the Rashi wines, it says wine product.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's not Rashi Light you're talking about.
Yeah,
really.
It's wine product. Yeah, Sephardi can't use it because it's too diluted. It's not proper wine. Okay. Mitzvah says behind Odo. All right, mitzvah says behind Odo. Ma timer. Why red wine? Don't look at wine which is red, so we see wine is red. Tani mevushal. Now here, nobody knows again what this line means, so Lieberman proves that it means that mevushal, yain mevushal, cooked wine is a din of a spice. Cooked wine is not wine anymore. Cooked wine is a spice. So the shiur of otzah is kedei tavel, the amount of cooked wine you use in order to spice your pot. It's no longer a vias, it can be much less, because it doesn't have the din of a beverage, but the din of a spice. Which is a beautiful pshat. Mevushal kedei tavel, as much as you need in order to spice up your pot.
That goes to also to the...
No, ma'al latzeis b'yayin mevushal. Go on b'yotze the kiddush with yayin mevushal. Gemara immediately asks. So you can have your cake and eat it too. Rabbi Yehuda Amar yotze b'yayin mevushal. You are yotze with cooked wine. Okay. Now Rabbi Yehuda with kedaite. Rabbi Yehuda follows the line of reasons. Rabbi Yehuda shatzei arba kasi l'leil petzcha. Rabbi Yehuda drank 4 cups of wine. This is brought down. I think in the Tosfos and Bavli is brought down. Amazing in the Gemara. Shatzei arba kasi l'leil petzcha. He drank 4 cups of wine that at Pesach. The chazak reisha atzarta, and his head hurt him till Shavuos because he was allergic. So I think what.
Migraine index.
So I think that's why he's promoting cooked wine, because cooked wine, it seems, didn't give him that same Same syndrome. Must be something which cooking kills in the wine. Okay, some. Okay, something like that. Okay, so now Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Eloi, Shasi Arba Kesa Leila Pischa. He drank 4 cups of the wine. The Chazak Reish at Chaga. His head was strong until Chaga, which is until Sukkot. Now the thing is, here Lieberman says Chazak Reish doesn't mean the same thing it meant before. Here it means it didn't make him weak, but it made him strong. Okay. And it sounds like it from the rest of the mice, although it's very difficult to say that chazak means one thing here and one thing there. But anyway, a certain woman saw him, this is brought down also in the Bavli, a pain the horn and his face was illuminating. Amalei, so he said, Saba Saba, old man, chadamin tlas mil in this book, he wanted 3 things. Each day chamrat, either you're drunk, or mavar bibisat, or you loan money with interest, you're a loan shark, because they're very happy, because they when they get what they want, otherwise they break kneecaps. Or megar chazinat, or you're a pig farmer, because pig farmers, whoa boy, they make loads of money. Okay, it was good old days. So in any event, Amar Lei, so he said to her, Tipach rucha dahi, may this woman's spirit expire. Okay, I'm not one of these 3. Although the Gemara just said before he did drink wine and it kept him giddy till Sukkot, but he said that's not the pshat. El ufa shchiachli, upani shchiachli. I've learned. I'm accustomed to learn a great deal. The Chesiv says chachmas odam Torah panav. The wisdom of a person illuminates his face. Rabbi Avo went down to Tveria. Chamuni Talmidei Rabbi Yochanan, the students of Rabbi Yochanan saw Rabbi Avo, a point in the hearing that his face was illuminating. Amru Komi Rabbi Yochanan. They said in front of Rabbi Yochanan, Ashkach Rabbi Avo, Sim Rabbi Avo must have found the treasure. Amrulon Lama, so Rabbi Yochanan said to students, Lama, why do you say that? Amrulon, so they said, a point in the hearing, his face illuminates. Amrulon said, no, Dilma Raisa Chadto Shamaso. Maybe you're a new Shtekutayra, you're a new Chiddush, right? Salik Labe, so they went to him. Amar Lane, he said, "My rights Chadto Shamas. Did you hear new piece of Torah?" Amar Lane, no, he said, not that. Tosefta Atikta. It's really a Tosefta I learned before, but now I heard a new pshat in it, and that's what made me happy. So he said concerning him, "But Karolav Chachmas Adam Torah Ponav." The face of the wisdom of a person illuminates his face. We'll stop here for this evening.